It's midday in Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, coming live from Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. The program starts right now. Hours to the proposed nationwide strike, organized labor unions suspend its planned industrial action after reaching an agreement with the federal government delegation. We'll bring you all the details on the program. Ahead of the November 11 governorship election in Kogi State, the People's Democratic Party candidate Senator Dino Milaye promises to wrestle power from the ruling All Progressives Congress. And Governor Ube Sani of Kaduna State flags up the distribution of bag of rice to over 200,000 vulnerable persons across the 23 local government areas of the state. Thanks again for joining us on the program where we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happenings in the world of politics at midday. Let's begin with a cheery news that what would have turned out to be the crippling of the nation's economy has now been averted after organized labor agreed to suspend its proposed indefinite industrial action, which was meant to commence today by 30 days. The labor unions have been at loggerheads with the federal government over issues of protracted workers' welfare following the removal of fuel subsidy by the government, an economic policy that has affected the quality of life among Nigerians and the workers. At different occasions, both parties seem not to have agreed on certain terms, leading to a boycott of a scheduled meeting last week by the unions until an agreement was reached last night to break the deadlock at a meeting. Now, at that meeting, the federal government delegation agreed on some measures with the labor unions to cushion the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy. A key part of that agreement is to ensure that all federal workers get a 30,000 naira wage increase from the month of September rather, till a new national minimum wage is signed into law. After the meeting that lasted for hours, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Mr. Simon Lalong, read out the agreement and both parties signed a memorandum of understanding.
14. The NLC and the TUC accept to suspend for 30 days the planned indefinite nationwide strike scheduled to begin Tuesday, the 3rd of October 2023. And 15. This memorandum shall be filed with the relevant court of competent jurisdiction within 1 week as consent judgment by the federal government. And now the signatories. The NLC president...
Something as asking whether the subsidy removal affected the states. In some states, there are some measures. Some governors are paying 20, some are paying 10 to mitigate this already. So it is something that affects everybody. In some private sector companies, they are taking some measures. I can remember 1 or 2 banks that have hopefully implemented about 100% wage review. So it's not something that, we are saying whether it will affect them or not. It will. And then it's a measure that is aimed at cushioning the effect of this harsh policy. Harsh policy in the sense that it was not anticipated, and it appeared that the fabric, of the source of existence of Nigerians. So that is a stark reality that is facing all of us. So how to face it?
As attested to as well by the president of NLC, we have a signed agreement, and we have signed this agreement with the belief that government will act in utmost good faith. We signed this agreement with the belief that every single item in this agreement are implementable. Every single item in this agreement, we are extremely serious about them, and we wish to also reiterate that we are expecting a 100% implementation and not a 99% in any way. So we believe that when this is implemented, and also when it's cascaded down, because there's a portion in the agreement that talks about what will be done, or rather the encouragement that should be given to people working in the private sector and also to people that are working in the state as well as local government. So we believe that when this is cascaded down, it will alleviate the pains that Nigerians are facing at the moment.
Well, as you heard from the federal government as well as Labour, that strike has now been averted for a month. So some highlights, the Honourable Minister had actually mentioned some, but if I bring you up to speed with some details now, it's been suspended for 1 month, provisional wage of 35,000 naira from September to all federal government workers, as mentioned. This will be pending the signing of a new minimum wage, and the new minimum wage committee is to be inaugurated within the month. Suspension of VAT on diesel for 6 months from October, 25,000 naira each to 50 million household for 3 months beginning from October. 100 billion naira for the provision of CNG buses. The rollout is to commence in November. That's what the NLC is requesting for. They're also asking for the provision of 55,000 CNG conversion kits. Tax incentives to the private sector. Now, astounding salaries and wages of public tertiary institutions is being referred to the Ministry of Labour to continue that conversation with the likes of ASO and institutions, labour unions. Now, federal government and the Labour Union Joint Committee will be visiting the refineries to see the extent of work being done. These were part of the Memorandum of Understanding that was agreed between Labour and the federal government, about 3 pages when I printed it out. So let's see how things play out in the next 3 months between the federal government and next 1 month, rather, between the federal government and organized labor. Let's now talk politics, but this time we're going to the courts where the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has nullified the victory of Governor Abdullahi Sule. 2 members of the panel of the 3 judges declared the petitioner, Mr. David Mbaguda, of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the election, while a member of the panel in a dissenting judgment declared Governor Sule as the duly elected governor. Meanwhile, in Adamawa State, it's victory for Governor Umaru Fintiri as the governorship tribunal upheld his election. In the meantime, the Rivers State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has dismissed the petition filed by the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Tonye Cole, the Labour Party candidate, Mrs. Beatrice Itubo, Mr. Dumolulu Briggs of the Accord Party, and Mr. Innocent Eku of the Allied People's Movement, challenging the election of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of the People's Democratic Party. In 4 different rulings, the 3-member tribunal led by Justice Cletus Emifonye dismissed the petitions for lacking in merit and for failing to prove the allegations. Our correspondent, Dele Moyoni, reports.
As early as 9 a.m., all parties to the suit instituted by 4 aggrieved parties against the victory of Governor Sim Fubara of Rivers State were seated ahead of the verdict of the tribunal. Among those in court is the immediate past governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, who is also the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. 2 hours later, the justices emerged from their chamber and commenced the delivery of the judgments. The tribunal dismissed the appeal filed by the candidates of the All Progressives Congress, the Labour Party, and the Accord Party for lacking in merit. However, the petitioners believe there are issues that the tribunal did not address.
The fact that APC withdrew, the main case is that APC withdrew, and as a result of that, my own rights were infringed on. I don't agree with that. But again, I need to see the basis for which that judgment has been made. The law allows me to continue a case, but the judges in their wisdom have said that APC's withdrawal nullifies my case. That's a bit surprising, but let's wait and see.
The onus, on the basis of the pleadings before the tribunal, the onus is on the petition, on the respondents, who said that the governor resigned. We said he didn't resign. They said he resigned and gave particulars that he resigned. Mentioned the date he resigned, and the date was accepted. Those pieces of evidence were not brought before the court. On the state of the pleadings, it is the man who asserts that somebody has resigned, but who didn't bring the evidence, that stands to lose, according to the Evidence Act.
The petitioner felt aggrieved by the conduct of the elections in Rivers State, and they proceeded to the tribunal to ventilate their grievances. And they put forward their cases, we put forward our case, but the tribunal was not impressed by the presentation of our own case.
Back in court, the tribunal also dismissed the petition filed by Innocent Eku of the Allied People's Movement for lacking the capacity to institute the petition in the first place, since he was not the one on the ballot for the election. The immediate past governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, reacts to the judgment.
The tribunal has said it's unfortunate. We don't know what you are still doing here. When the party that sponsored you has said, look, we're not interested. Why are you still here? The party has left with this banner. So on what platform are you standing?
Despite the developments, all the petitioners have vowed to look at the judgment of the tribunal as they prepare to appeal the outcome. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara has hailed the judgment. He describes it as victory, as a confirmation of the trust that the people have on him or bestowed on him through the ballot. Governor Fubara stated this at his service held at the Government House Chapel to thank God for the victory.
For your support and to assure you, as I've always done, we will not disappoint you. With your support, I strongly believe that we will get there. I just want every one of you to be patient. Patient is the only thing that the man of God did not add when he was listing those things. Patience is one of the greatest virtues for success. So we will get there. So let me, on behalf of the government, say a big thank you to every one of you for your prayers, more especially when we started until this particular hour that the courts has affirmed our victory. It is the beginning of the confirmation of the trust that you people showed on that very day. We will not take it for granted.
We're not done with Rivers State, and joining us on the program to discuss on the outcome of the Rivers State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal judgment that was delivered yesterday is one of the petitioners and governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Mr. Tonye Cole. Mr. Cole, thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you, Jeffrey. How are you today?
I'm very well, and you?
Can't complain. It's another day, another battle.
Yeah, that's why I asked on you, because I wanted to know what's your immediate reaction to yesterday's ruling of the tribunal. They dismissed your petition, citing the fact that your sponsor, the APC, as enshrined in 177, Section 177 of the Constitution, withdrew their petition. What's your reaction?
I think my immediate reaction was one of disappointment and surprise. Surprise at the angle that the judgment came, which basically says that APC, my party, had withdrawn. But that was clear from when that had happened, and we knew that I had my basic right as an individual, as a candidate, as one of the key sponsors of the election, and whose right was being infringed on to defend myself in court. And we had made this abundantly clear to the court severally that the party has its right and I have my right. So it was a bit surprising to hear that that was the main judgment and main fulcrum with which the judgment was made. I think it was faulty.
The Constitution, as well as you know, I think is a ground norm, like everybody knows. And Section 177 that I cited, for anybody to qualify to be a governor, issues of nationality, age, academic qualification, and all of that. And then the membership and sponsorship of a party. So at the point when your party withdrew from being a petitioner in this particular case, was this not clear that this was already a lost cause ahead of time, in your view?
No, no, absolutely not. Now, take everything that you just said. So, one, you mentioned membership of a party. APC has not withdrawn my membership at any time. I've never been suspended from the party. I've never been sanctioned from the party. The party never called me one day to say, this is the position of the party. We're no longer interested. You cannot pursue your case again. That never happened. That's number one. Number two, as at the time of the election, on the day of the election, the party sponsored me. I was the legitimate sponsored candidate of the party, which meant that I had two rights on that day. The first right was that I was standing on behalf of the party and all candidates and all the people of Rivers State that wanted the APC to win. And I had my own rights as well. So none of this was taken away. What the party decided to do, and basically this was done without an NWC memo. There was no meeting where the NWC of our party sat down, called me and said, this is the position of the NWC, this is the position of the party. That never happened. So essentially, some agreement was made, which we don't know about, and they went to court. But that's besides the point. That has been done. Some say that I was thrown under the bus, that this was an arrangement and a negotiation between the FCT minister and the party. I have no idea because no one ever called me to say that. But the key issue is this. I have my own rights and they had to be respected. And my right was that I could go to court on the grievance that I was on the ballot. I ran an election, and I don't believe that the election results was what it should be, and so we went to court on that.
I'm going to ask some more questions, but I'm not a lawyer, but don't you see it like what that part of the section of the Constitution we're trying to consider is what, like some people have told you, maybe being thrown under the bus, is more like a parent posture for who you're sending into that race. And then the parents say, no, I no longer want my son or my daughter in this particular race. That was what I was asking you. So the next question will be, are you disappointed with the APC in your state?
In my state, in Rivers State, absolutely not. The APC in Rivers State has actually stood very firm and has continued on this journey, on this battle, irrespective of everything. You see, what people may not realize is that that is...
Mr. Cole, just sorry for cutting in. I wanted to understand, sorry, I wanted to understand what you're trying to say. Just a minute, sir. I asked that question. You said there's no, you don't have any grievance against them. They are the ones that withdrew their petition.
No.
That led to the decision,
APC
that made the tribunal dismiss your case.
No, so let me correct that. Let me correct what you said. You said, am I disappointed with APC in my state, in Rivers State? And I said, no.
All right.
And I think the question you meant to ask is, am I disappointed in APC at the national level that withdrew? It wasn't my state's APC that withdrew. APC Rivers State stood firm all the way through this election. They never withdrew, they never stepped down, and they continued through this process. Who withdrew their petition was APC at the national level. And that's what I said at the beginning, that this was not a National Working Committee decision. I believe that it was a decision with a very small group of people, and nobody, the party chairman in Rivers State was not called, I wasn't called, nobody was called to say that this was the decision that was going to be taken. And that is very, very disappointing. I'm not happy with that decision at all.
Now, at the core of your struggle is arguably the disunity. I know you argue that your party is together, but we've been following development in your state for quite a while. Remember what happened in 2019? It was also internal issues within your party that led to the disqualification of the party in the race. You remember the direct and indirect primary and all of that happened. And things appear to be festering. Are you going to say here that internal fracas, internal crisis within the APC in Rivers State, not national now, is not responsible again for what is playing out here?
Absolutely no. In this particular case, APC was united and there wasn't any fracas within the APC in Rivers State that led to this election. Let's understand certain things, and you may have to just go through history to clear this. The first aspect of it is that in 2019, APC had a major problem. We had a fracas with Senator Abe and ourselves, and that's what caused the problem. In 2023, Senator Magnus Abe left APC and went to SDP. Once that happened, we had a united house. And so APC Rivers State went to this election as one unit. There was no fracas. And it's important that we clear this. What has happened here is a very simple calculation of PDP's coming in to an arrangement with APC at the national level that has caused a lot of misunderstanding and murky waters where we are. And that's what's going on. But that notwithstanding, look, when we take a look at this judgment moving forward, there are many things that we have to begin to understand. And one of them is that by how much are we going to reward impunity? Are we going to reward all sorts of things? And I'll give you an example. The court says to us that we needed to prove certain things, and the things that we needed to prove required that we get documents from INEC. Everyone knows, and we put this to the court themselves, that INEC, first of all, ignored subpoena, refused to release CTC documents. Our lawyers were even arrested with our documents, and we had to get them out. One of the documents that we got, one of the lawyers that went there was abducted. We had all of this. PDP picketed INEC for nearly a week to prevent us from getting evidence. All of these things were not just televised, but also put before the court. The tribunal sits, just for a minute, the tribunal sits in Abuja today, not in Port Harcourt. The reason why we sat in Abuja today was because of the violence that was vetted on my person and the APC in Rivers State ahead of getting the documents and filing. And so we now move to Abuja. Then this same tribunal then says to us that you needed to bring documents that INEC should have released to prove your case. And your case does not now lacks merit because you don't have those documents. How does that work?
All right, Mr. Cole, just to put on record that what you say about the former governor and minister now, allegations from your end, but let me wrap up with this, that on what ground are you going to appeal this if you are appealing it, and what is the national working committee of the APC saying to you after this judgment was read out? 30 seconds, if you can.
So I haven't had that conversation. I'm waiting for the documents to come. The next thing that we're going to do is we're now going to this new national APC, and we're going to sit down and demand from them explanations as to how they want us to move forward. We're party members, we're bona fide party members, and we need to come to an agreement as to how we move forward. Nobody can deny us our rights in this case.
All right, Mr. Tonye Cole, governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. Thank you so much for joining us on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Let's stay with politics. The People's Democratic Party in Kogi State has assured its members that it has the capacity to wrestle power from the ruling All Progressives Congress in the state. The governorship candidate of the party, Senator Dino Milaye, shared his optimism during in Lokoja at the inauguration of the governorship campaign committee at the party secretariat, where he says the party has all the political structures in the local government areas that can win the election.
In 4 years, we will build new Lokoja. In 4 years, the PDP government will build 4 new districts, just like El-Rufai did in Abuja. Build Jahi, Jabi, Utako, and Katampe within 4 years. We will repeat that feat in Kogi State. We are going to make tourism our watchword. The economy of this state is going to be revamped. Education is going to be given a priority. And I want to assure you by the grace of God that we will provide security for the people of Kogi State. Our long-lost unity reputation shall be restored because our state has never been this divided in our history. Abubakar Audu became the governor of this state. There was no Igala agenda. Ibrahim Idris became the governor of this state. He became the governor by PDP campaigning, not because of Igala agenda. Captain Idris Wada became the governor of this state, not because of Igala agenda, but because we used PDP to campaign. For the first time in the history of our state, there is a good agenda, there is Igala agenda, there is Okwa agenda. The PDP government will unite our people, and that is why the slogan of our campaign is one Kogi, one destiny. One Kogi, one destiny.
Away from Kogi State, Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has flagged up the distribution of 50 kg bag of rice each to 210,000 vulnerable persons across the 23 local government areas of the state. During the flag-off ceremony held at the Kaduna State Warehouse in Dankanda in Igabi local government area, Governor Sani described the event as one out of the 3 phases of palliative distribution plan for the state.
We're targeting over 200,000 households, and the beneficiaries will be about 1 million. And here in Kaduna, I have no doubt in my mind we've done our best. That is why until this moment, everybody is happy. We targeted the vulnerable, the poor and the underserved within our society, people that are in IDP camps, the widows, as well as people with disability. And I want to thank the organized labor, the NLC, the TUC, the other organization, Nigerian road transport workers, and as well as other labor affiliate organizations.
Let's now head to Bayelsa State, where citizens and party faithful are gearing up for the November 11 governorship polls, which is just about a month away. And Governor Diri, who is the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has promised the resident that his campaign will be issue-based. He re-emphasized his focus while inaugurating several projects he started and completed.
In 2021, 12th of August, I directed the constitution of a committee to look into these issues. In NDU Amasoma, in College of Health, Otuogidi, College of Education, Jasper, Azikadakaboro College of Education. And that was sometime in 12th of August 2021. Today, they have come with their report of implementation, as you have all heard, from the Secretary to the state government. Therefore, in view of the fact that most of these people have suffered some losses, some have even died in the process, as governor of Bayelsa State, having received their reports and looked at their prayers and recommendations, I hereby approve all of the recommendations by the committee.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. You've been served on Lunchtime. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga.